Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a beleaguered Imperial Guard trench line here, being defended by the Death Corps of Krieg against 2 million orcs which are about to come pouring into their trenches. Now unfortunately the Death Corps of Krieg have been holding this position for a very long time, and a lack of reinforcements has left their defences woefully stretched, so they're going to be trying their best here to hold out against this gigantic encroaching orc war. Oh my god, look at this. Imperial Guard conscripts here going forward, charging into the masses, trying to hold them back from the trench lines. You can see that we've got all our tanks up front as well, trying to provide as much fire support as possible. We've got Imperial artillery in the background, as well as a couple of autocannons as well, also laid in that smackdown. And the front line is going to be quite brutal at the moment. You can see the orcs trying to surge their way forward, but being met by a thick conscript line, which is currently holding them in place. They're going to have to work their way through the lads here if they want a chance of storming them trenches. However, further down the line, it looks like the orcs are having slightly more success here. Again, the Death Corps not able to defend every single inch of the trench line, have gathered their forces as best as they can. The orcs are going to try to outflank them here, but the Kriegers are holding firm for now. As the orcs come smashing into them. You see these little trickles every now and then of conscripts going forward, holding the orcs in place, allowing the gunners to do their work. But my god, look at that. Look at that gigantic horde. And all them artillery shells just blowing them up in the distance. Absolutely fantastic stuff. But bit by bit, the orcs are starting to work their way through that conscript line. Let's go over to the other side. How are we doing on this side of the field? Again, the orcs trying to push through here. Look at that. Oh man, the trench is filling in rapidly here with the bodies of the orcs as they try to storm in. It's an absolutely brutal fight on the front line. The Kriegers are holding though. That's the main important thing. The orcs have not yet breached the trench line. Only with corpses. Oh my god. So many are falling in at the moment. But look at that as well. That we've also got this body pile that's starting to appear on this one side. The orcs having to climb over their dead comrades to be able to get up to the Kriegers now. Doesn't look like they're trying to storm the trench in this position. But again, the bodies are just mounting up. The fire superiority here being on the Kriegers with their strong defensive position. You can see that the tanks up front are starting to get a little bit harassed here. Really starting to take the brunt of that orc war. Oh my god, with that artillery, absolutely devastating. Now we have got Storm Boys in amongst the orcs here. They can actually survive these artillery hits, which means that they get scattered throughout the lines, causing disruption to the Imperials. It's quite deadly, really. But look at that, glorious Lima Russes on the front line here, just absolutely pounding the orcs as they dare to try and get close. The conscript line has been really effective at holding back these orc forces for now. But bit by bit, the orcs are starting to regain the ground that it cost them so dearly to capture earlier. Oh, that's a beautiful sight there. Just a gigantic sea of green looking forward to a bunch of Hellbore rifle fire. How are we doing on our far flanks, though? Looks like the orcs are starting to mount up the bodies on this side. Pretty soon they'll be able to traverse right across the trench. For this match, I have actually turned off the blood flow physics, so normally the trenches would fill up with blood and stuff like that, and drown the troops. Well, I wanted the orcs to actually have to fight for the trenches, so I have turned that off for this round only. That doesn't mean that the floor's not getting covered in blood. Oh my god, because it certainly is in parts. I mean, look at that in the centre there. The orcs are storming ahead though. They're getting ever closer, grinding this defence out, one body at a time. The Kriegers holding this front line, man. They've got barely a second to register the enemy in front of them. I think it's just a case of empty your clip, reload as fast as you can, and hope you've not been chopped in half in the meantime. The orcs are making progress though, despite having all the tanks at the front here, trying to absorb the brunt of the firepower from the orcs, trying to distract them for as long as possible, allowing our Krieg units here to lay down that covering fire. I mean, it is costing them a heck of a lot of units to break through this formation, but they are starting to pour over the tanks here. How are we doing on our far flanks? Again, it looks like the conscript line now has actually faltered. And the orks are pushing in. They're making gains here. Oh man, the trenches are starting to fill up with the bodies of the orks. Oh, that is a brutal sight. The Imperial Guard here now, having killed just over 500,000 orks. Look, the orks are making ground bit by bit. They're getting into them trenches, clearing out them kriegsmen, starting to get a foothold here. Realistically, the main chance that the orks have is pushing at these flanks. You can see that they've done it a little bit on this side. But again, they're struggling to get the reinforcements through. Thanks to the narrow gaps that the trenches actually allow reinforcements to come like this over here. Look, there's such a narrow gap for all these orks to get through. Now it's really stemming the flow. And it seems like the Kriegers are able to keep up with the kill pace. But as this trench line fills in, look what's happening. Yeah, the trench has been completely filled in now with the bodies of the orks, which is going to allow them to actually get over the trench and get the rest of the Kriegers on the other side. But it has been extremely costly so far for the orks. There is still 33,000 defenders remaining. We've only lost 22,000 so far. I say only 22, that's still quite a lot. But the orks are surging forward. They really need to start making gains in this center ground here. I think the autocannons and the artillery has made it very difficult. And again, the high concentration of the Lehman Russes here has made it extremely difficult for the orks to gain ground. Again, they've not really made any body piles either, which is kind of interesting. I mean, we sort of got a little hump over here from where the conscript line first held them in place. But yeah, it's just been a mosaic of death across the floor. Again, orks trying to push into these trench lines. It has been extremely costly for them. The orks do have numbers on their side though at the moment, and it doesn't look like the Kriegers are getting reinforcements anytime soon. Oh, look at this. Another brave conscript wave comes out here, trying to hold that flank. The poor men and women here of the Imperial Guard throwing down their lives to try and keep the Kriegers in the fight for as long as possible. Because the Kriegers really are doing a lot of damage with these Harbor rifles. The orks struggling to gain grounds. The flank has held really nicely. Again, the orks trying to clear out these trench lines and just struggling. The sheer weight of concentrated firepower is having a great effect on the orks. Oh my god. Look at this side flank. But again, as the orks keep pushing in, all that's going to happen, eventually this is going to become passable terrain. It's just going to open up a new avenue from which the orks can attack from. And I mean, I think that's the ork tactic at the moment. They just throw enough bodies at the situation. Hopefully it'll solve the problem. Oh my god. Look at them. They're just swooping down from the top here. They're dying in seconds. So many Krieg rifles just focusing on these points here where the orks are coming. Because the orks are just running to single focal points like this. All the rifles are just focused in one place, which makes it really easy for the Imperials to focus down that firepower and just annihilate them. I mean, I don't think the orks are actually even getting into the trench here. I think most of them die at the lip of it before they even get an attack off, which is kind of crazy. Our center line here is holding it really nicely. Yet again, these individual conscript waves that keep coming forward, somehow holding the orks in place. But look at the ork horde just stretching off into the distance. The artillery here still pounding home. But again, look at that. Every time a gap is created, it's almost instantly filled in with more orks. But again, I think it's going to be the flanks over here that are going to be the real story. The Kriegers have been holding this so well, man. Like, literally, they've just been under, at least for 5 minutes, they've just been under this massive ork siege. And they've been holding them back for as long as possible. And it has been working wonders. The orks have still not yet managed to push across the trench. We have got a couple of Lehman Russes here, providing that firepower. Again, the artillery not really focusing on these flanks. So maybe that's why the center is just holding so well comparative. More conscript waves going forward here. Oh man, I feel so sorry for the conscripts. They have such an ugly lot in the Warhammer universe. Their lot of life is just, yeah, guaranteed death. I think that's safe to say for most of the Imperium of Man, though. is pretty much a brutal death. That's what you're going to experience, whether it's working away in some labor mine or in some horrible chemical factory, or your brain gets warped by chaos. Either way, I don't think many people die peacefully in their sleep in the Warhammer universe. In fact, it's very rare to see old people. Oh my god, look at this orc mountain that we've made now. That is just a pile of orc corpses. There's no other way to describe it. So many piles. Oh my god. The trench is slowly disappearing. Again though, the orcs not made any ground over this side. The disrupting effect of the artillery here and the overlapping firepower combined with these conscript waves that keep coming forward are just holding the orcs at bay just enough. We've got 800,000 orcs remaining. The flanks are starting to fall though, unfortunately. It looks like some artillery shells are now realizing, hang on, this might be a little bit deadly. Oh man, they are pushing it around that flank, the orcs are. Pretty soon that artillery is going to be exposed. The Imperials here really need to start capitulating this flank and getting that artillery focusing fire. The center can hold, guys. Get the artillery focused over this way. Oh my god, look at all the orcs. Just pouring over the breach now. The Kriegers here in a total pincer maneuver. They're going to be able to hold for a little while. But again, look at how close the orcs are to that artillery. And the artillery is still focusing fire into the center lines. And it feels like the orcs are actually starting to gain a little bit of ground ever so slightly in the center. At least they're starting to get close to that trench line now. How are we doing over this side? Oh, look at this. The orcs trying to outflank the main body of forces here. But we've got a couple of conscripts who are deciding that the orcs have advanced far enough. Oh, come on. There we go. A beautiful artillery hit there. Scattering a bunch of orcs. Looks like most of them actually lived through that, though, unfortunately. Oh, man, this is going to get really nasty. It's going to come down to a brutal last stand in the center lines here. The orcs definitely starting to outflank them. The artillery guns have been working overtime in the center lines. And we've got this lovely mosaic on the floor. Again, I've always said that orcs would make a fantastic carpet for your living room. I mean, who wouldn't want that? That just looks fantastic. But yeah, look at that. Yeah, being chewed up and spat out now. The Kriegers trying to hold what remains of their trench line. I mean, let's face it, this pile of bodies here, this is the trench line. The Imperials have done a bang-up job up to now. But are they going to be able to withstand the outflanking maneuvers here coming out of the orcs? We've got about 18,000 defenders left, 600,000 attacking orcs. The Imperials have killed 1.3 million orcs at this point. Oh man, that's just so brutal. I love that. The Kriegers holding that trench at all costs with the artillery just constantly going off. It's a brutal grind fest in our midsection, as it is on the flanks. The orcs have paid dearly yet again. Look at this, trying to push up into the rear of our main body of defense. Overlapping firepower, really trying to keep the orcs at bay, but sheer weight of numbers is starting to win the day. Quantity has a quality of its own, remember, ladies and gentlemen, and the orcs are using that to full effect now. Again, though, these parts of the trench line look like this, that the orcs still haven't managed to traverse yet. There's hope yet for the Imperial defenders. Oh, man. What an absolute fantastic display by the Imperial defense in the center, though. It's worked out wonders for them so far. Oh, no, we've lost a couple of the artillery guns. A few renegade orcs here. Not really being bothered by the Kriegers. I don't think any of them actually noticed that the orcs had outflanked them a little bit. Man, oh god, there's so many orcs pushing around that flank now. Look at that. Just this gigantic horde pushing over. Though it looks like we might be starting to thin out the center line just a little bit. With 500,000 troops remaining, are the orcs going to be able to capitulate this Imperial defense? I mean, the trenches are filling up now. This is going to become a definite last stand for the center. So the center really has these little thing cut off here, this little trench line. That's going to be really good. It's going to help these Kriegers stay in the fight a lot longer. Like you can see on this side, there's no little trench on the side. And as crazy as it sounds, it actually makes a huge difference having a little sideways trench like that. Man, but the orks have just pushed around now, completely capitulating that flank. It's getting to a point, oh man, where they're starting to really outflank. Some of them are going to go for the artillery pretty soon. Kriegers now being attacked in the rear, realizing they're starting to get surrounded. That is going to be distracting from the front as well. You notice that the orks have suddenly got a lot closer as them flanking maneuvers start closing in. The firepower now being distracted to the flanks to try and hold them allows the orks to keep pushing forward. Oh, this cross-section as well. Just a few moments ago, this was not filled in with ork bodies, and now it is. But yeah, look at that. You can see the defensive nature that it allows. The orks can only attack from one position at the moment. That really allows the Kriegers to focus that fire down, try to keep the orks at bay, though it's a desperate bid at the moment. Again, I'm still amazed that this center line has held as long as it has. Look at that. They're starting to run out of reinforcements in the center. The Kriegers may break this ork waghh yet. Oh my god. We've actually got these insane body piles in the center as well that have built up. This was all flat terrain before, and now the orks are having to make the way over millions of dead comrades. There's only 300,000 orks remaining, well, 370,000 to 13,000 defenders. Is it going to be enough to hold off, man? This is getting really down to the wire here. Oh no, more orks attacking the Imperial artillery. I've got a feeling if this artillery goes down, it's going to be desperate. Autocannons also under attack. Now, these things are really good because they basically rip through like 4 or 5 orks at a time. So they're really effective weapons. Very powerful. I'm going to guess that they've been helping keep that center line going for quite a while. But it looks like the orks are finally getting their vengeance now. Starting to swoop around and surround the Kriegers' defense. The center trench here being the last remaining bastion. Yeah, look how much the orks have managed now to cover that ground in the center. Really starting to push up here. The Imperials are starting to sweat now. They have only got 300,000 remaining to deal with here. They've just killed around 70,000 orks. And look at that, we're starting to break the center line. The orks running out of reinforcements here. This could be excellent news for the Imperials. Oh man. The orks have got so many units in the flanks that they haven't got enough to push the center anymore. That's a clear break in the ork army. Are the Imperials going to be able to capitulate on this though? Are they going to be able to bring out a victory? There's so many orks pouring down the flanks, trying to clear out these trenches. And the Kriegers, man, back-to-back fighting here. Just doing an excellent job. They ain't yielding for no one. They've been told to hold this stretch line, and that's damn well what they're doing. They're going to hold it against all costs here. You see the orks trying to push more reinforcements back into the center, but it just doesn't have the same orky goodness as it did before. We can actually have a look at these gigantic piles of orks as well now that we've made. But look at that. They are literally rolling hillocks that we've made out of orks. Really impressed with the Imperial defense. That we've lost 44,000 here. They have managed to hold out this long. What we're quickly going to do here is just hit a little bit of a time-lapse camera and see if the orks manage to completely encircle them, or are the Imperials going to break the ork waghh. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and so it comes down to this. 13,000 orcs remaining on the battlefield here. Slowly stemming in on this side, but on this side we've got a nice big blob of them who've been trying to push this trench line now for a good, what, at least 5 minutes there. I think the time lapse was roughly about. But look at them. The Kriegers here have managed to hold this position somehow against insanely overwhelming odds. I mean, across some of the trench line here, I mean, where is the trench? You can't even see the trench anymore. The entire area has been filled in by the corpse of orks. The only thing that really denotes that there was any sort of trench here is that there's a valley in the bodies. Oh my god, the orcs have been turned to absolute paste here, ladies and gentlemen. The Kriegers, by the looks of it, are going to successfully manage to defend their location with only 3,000 orcs left remaining on the field here. Look at them. Oh, they're trying to push in, but the Kriegers, with their shovels in hand, have denied them any such thing. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I do think that we can wrap this battle up here today. But of course, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to cleanse the battlefield of all these orky mushrooms. So as always, I do hope you had a blast. I know I did. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. A massive shout out to you channel members who helped keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out the amazing Death Before Dishonor hoodies available in the ChaoticPinky store now. Links in the description. With all that being said, as always, until next time, peace.